Back to our top story and the ongoing political stalemate in Washington this evening. Is the U.S. failing to balance the books, and is the U.S. on the eve of a debt crisis? A short time ago, I spoke with leading Republican Senator Tom Coburn of Oklahoma. Please take a listen to what he told me.
The reason the balanced budget amendment lost is because we don't have an agreement that we need to live within a certain bounds for our federal government. Lots of objections to it. The question the American people ought to ask is, why are we working on that when we know it can't pass? We voted it already once this year. Why aren't we working on the problems in front of us? And I think that's a legitimate question the American people ought to be asked. The tax program, you could sum it up in one instance. We're going to spend a lot of money this year by cutting a tax on Social Security earnings, but we're going to pay for it over a long period of time. And in essence, it really is paid for with the bill coming from the House. But ask yourself the question: if you were now $15 trillion in debt on an economy that's $15 trillion or a little bit less than that, would it be wise to maybe make the cuts in spending this year to pay for benefits that you're going to give this year?
Sure.
And as long as we keep doing what we're doing, not taking the pain that we need to take. Look, there's an easy $350 billion you could get out of this government. All we need is 107 to 112 for the Social Security tax cut, and then maybe 40-some for the unemployment. And you could get that out. We don't have the people in Washington, especially those that are prone to spend money and not make hard decisions, and that can go on both sides of the aisle, so that's not partisan. We don't have the people here willing to make the tough choices because they're afraid they might lose their seats. And I think the House was pretty, you had a good, strong Republican vote for this, plus 10 Democrats in the House that voted, said we need to do this and we ought to cut spending to do it, although we're not willing to cut all the spending this year.
Well, that's the thing. We never seem to be willing to cut enough spending to cover these obligations, temporary tax cuts and new programs and unemployment compensation, of which the economics are highly doubtful. I think you would agree with that. So let me ask you, you told the Wall Street Journal editorial board the U.S. may be heading for a debt crisis. Can you expand on that?
Well, I think all you have to do is go back and look at what everybody, you included, were writing about Greece 2 years ago and what they weren't doing in their legislative body to fix their problems. We're not doing that. We're essentially kicking the can down the road, and when we get forced to make the choices, and we are going to make the choices because the world isn't going to loan us the money we need to get out of the hole we're in. We're going to make the tough choices, and by delaying the time, the very pain is going to be much worse than what it would be if we did it today, and the very people that we want to protect, we're not going to be able to protect as well. So, this is the difference is in long-term thinking to secure a future versus political short-term thinking for political expediency. That's the balance that we have here now, and it's very harmful.
And we haven't done a darn thing to solve that in this payroll tax debate, have we?
No, we haven't. We've actually undermined it, because if you think about it, we have a tax cut that was started last year, and by the way, I voted against that because we didn't pay for it last year either, and we just borrowed the money. We borrowed $400 billion against the future last year to do what we did at the end of the year. And now we're going to do it again. And so what's going to happen is next year are they going to say, oh, it's okay, raise my taxes when we're taking it from Social Security. If we're going to do something like this, then we ought to do it through a tax credit, and we ought to pay for it in the year we do it, and we ought not undermine Social Security further.
Right. I got to leave it there. Senator Tom Coburn, thank you very much. Sensible
Good to be
stuff.
with you. Happy holidays to you, Larry.
You too, Senator.
See you.
All right, coming up, the president has let America's workers down. These leading unions are up in arms because they see the key